Hi everyone, thanks for being part of this webinar today. So as you're aware, the topic is relating to focusing on your core business and looking at other areas which are non-core like payroll uh, as an outsourced function versus the typical traditional way of doing business is to maintain as much as possible internally. So that's what we're going to talk about today, right? So yeah, startup priorities, right? Seed values, culture anchors, get the right team on board, set up essential systems, manage HR operations. Now, we've been there, done that 14 years back when we started our business. The same typical thing that, we go and start thinking of what culture do you want to create, what team you want to bring on board, what are the systems, processes that you have. Obviously, when you hire people, you need, operations manuals and all those things, right? So one of the better ways that we've seen a number of our clients really prioritizing in their business is focusing on what is your frontline business, and that's where you'll be able to focus and look at top line results versus getting very carried away, getting very entrenched in the backroom operations which are lesser value adding. So the essential systems, right, when you start up an organization and especially when you start hiring people, there are a number of things that you need to comply. Some of them are statutory compliance, some of them are internal processes. So some of the points here are related to employee information, which you need to capture in the system and verify that. Putting all your compensation structures, you may need to put grades. How do you handle monthly payroll? How do you do all the banking? Likewise, how do you handle benefits, as you will provide all those things to your employees? You need to keep a track on their attendance, the leave, and so many other things which are operational, and some of the core ones are really on compliance, where you need to ensure that while you pay your team member salary, you need to make sure that the government compliance, right, like statutory and taxes, particularly in Malaysia, is EPF and SOXO and LHDN, right? They are very strict, stringent deadlines, processes, and documentations that you need to comply. So really, I mean, when you start business, do you want to get yourself so bogged down with doing all these things versus having an option of looking at outsourcing as an option, so that another partner firm of yours could focus that for you, making sure that there is peace of mind, and you just focus on building your business. So how do you manage these sort of things, right? And we've seen a number of startups who probably start with one headcount and then they grow on to a very large number. So when you start up, you need to do inductions of new hires. The people who are joining you, you need to activate them into whatever systems that you have, things like that. You need to ensure there is some relations managing them. You need to communicate with them whenever there are updates in organization, HR reporting. You need to sign off the monthly bill. These are really things that once you commence a business, you have to have a mindset that these are definitely things that you expect to happen, and you rather plan how do you like to manage that. There's a lot of paperwork when you start on a business, and especially when you start hiring people, right? Typical things we hear from clients, you have template of offer letters, appointment letters. How do you write job descriptions? How do you do appraisals? How do you put policies in place so that you ensure that once and for all you put all sort of processes and procedures, like how do you handle leave management, working hours, claims management, all these other plans as well, like compensation. How do you handle people who have got fixed compensation, variable, bonus plans, all those things. So these are things that really you need to before you do the hiring of people, you need to have some form of basic understanding of this, because these are things that you'll expect to eventually come out with essential items. Employees information forms, resume, education documents, statutory, EPF, all these things you need to cover when you have people coming in. You need to be prepared as an employer. You need to be registered as an employer. if you're hiring expatriate, you need to know how to get work permits. We call it dirty list because these are things that a lot of us don't like doing, but we have no choice but to do. What we are saying is some aspects need to be fully operational by day one. Others, the core founding thoughts that needs to be articulated to form organization, people policy and DNA. And what we mean is in somewhere in the dirty list of what is saying there, a number of them can be work in progress as you start business, but some of them are very important and crucial that you have it done before you start hiring. Typical startups challenges, right? SME challenges is you need to have, if you have many partners, how do you centralize your decision making? Also to see how employee can have access and a personal touch with the management, you need to ensure there's some amount of communication, some amount of space also available. A lot of times when we start business, it's one leg kick all. How do you manage that? Ensuring that what you're aware of is communicated very instantly. Especially when you're a startup, you have low performance. You need to have high performance and high loyalty base because you're dependent on every resource that you have. A lot of these things takes a lot of time. Yeah, HR processes, activities. Many times we just depend on our family members to do this. And then one of the challenges over the last 4 or 5 years we are all facing is, you have there's a high potential of the Generation X running the business and Generation Y are doing the delivery. How do you manage the difference of opinion? Yeah, and how do you ensure that you spend whatever you spend, right, on non-revenue base is not a waste, because as a startup you will always be, you may not have deep pockets in running an organization. So why you should focus on HR is because I think once you have your first headcount and your number of headcount grows up, right, the employees are definitely going to look at an organization as a pull factor. If the organization builds professionalism, then it attracts professionals and then you retain them. You support from the entrepreneur, the owners in an organization where you have growth of people, right? So you need to ensure that you have all these collaterals in place. From an HR angle, if your organization is growing, you have more people, you need to be a business partner. You also need to have some strategies in HR because otherwise you may have a lot of attritions in the organization and you wouldn't know why that's happening. Of course, you want to reduce your operation costs, technology to implement productivity, build internal leadership so that you know the people that you hire today, what are their next 4 or 5 years plan on, what is probably their even 10 years plan. You would also like to focus on succession planning. All these things are related to internal management. Building an effective business, right? I think it's very important that when you have an organization and when especially you have resources, right? You need to be clear about processes, the point number one. How you want your resources to be efficient. How do you want them to multitask? There's a lot of uncertainty in business from time to time. How do you manage that? How much authority do you give to people? In terms of also dependent on resource, because we've seen a number of organizations, they depend on one or two resources very significantly. If that person leaves the organization, there's a lot of issues to manage. Need to ensure that all statutory matters are taken care of. You don't want to be summoned or you don't want to have any non-compliant matters. Very important that nowadays dependent on technology is very important because resources are becoming very expensive nowadays. How you can convert so-called a manual work into an automated work, it's good to have that in place. So what we are saying is you really need to funnel your focus. That's the call. Choose to set up the must-have and go through the dirty list to complete as much as you can. You need to be very clear that what you have to do internally, which is your core business, right? So what you do is you start right and grow a winning people strategy. The processes allows you to continuously grow and transform without any interruptions. You need to focus on your research on areas that cannot be developed without the founding input and strategy. Yeah, I think that's more of if you like the academic approach to this topic, and happy to have any further questions or inputs or feedback if you like.
Yeah.
Hi Ivana, are you there?
Yeah. I'm listening. Interesting. Go ahead. You want to
Yeah,
stop for
I'm
Q&A?
I'm done. My last slide. Yeah,
Oh, this your this is your last slide.
I think I'm done on the last slide.
Come again.
Yeah,
Sorry, I can't hear
yeah,
you
this is my
properly.
last slide.
The line is
I'm actually done with my last slide now.
sorry. Yeah. And previously we did send you a list of questions that participants want to find out more. Did you receive the list of
Right,
the?
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I think
let me just grab the list. I think I don't have it with me immediately, but
never mind.
give
I
me a
will.
moment. Do you have it with you now?
Wait. Wait. I'm opening up. Opening it up. Wait.
Yeah.
Eh, how come? Wait. Yes. It's an Excel. Okay. HR recruit similar job. Okay, wait. I share my screen first. Change presenter. I can see it now. Yeah. So at the meantime, for the online listener, if you have any question, do type in the chat box. Can you see my screen, Manish?
Yep.
Yeah. So what they wish to learn most is building business. The art of HR. Wow. The art of HR. Which step to take to set up HR recruitment payroll function for an NGO? Maybe you can start. What's inspired staff to work with a company, stay and perform? How to hire the right people in the first place? How to manage a good HR system, HR simplification, hiring, recruitment? Yeah. So this is the list that they wanted to learn most. So you can start by giving some of your advices.
Sure. I will try my best to cover all the questions. Some of the questions I think are very general, so I'm really not certain on what is expected out of the questions. But let me try my best to
No
see
problem.
what we can do. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And also give maybe some of your case study, some of your stories or case study from your clients. That will be very helpful.
Sure. Well, one of the burning questions we always have is how to hire the right people in the first place, right? To be honest, although we also have an associate company which is in the space of headhunting, it's still an art of hiring the right people. It's not a science. There's no formula per se. A lot of what we say, the right people are very much not right at the point of the interview when we interview them, but how do you turn them right when they join you? So we have had over the years, and we've seen this in our client space as well, a number of people have hired who appear very good during the interview stage, or when they do business presentation and all that, but when they join in, they are a different person altogether. So I think the question of how to hire the right people is very much whether your organization is ready to hire the right people, not about hiring the right people first. Because what happens is when an organization is not ready and there's a wish list of hiring the best talent, and when the talent joins the organization and finds that the story is different, the talent doesn't remain there or doesn't perform. So I think more important here is really to ensure that, like the topics that we covered earlier, do we have our people, process and technology in place to ensure that we can bring in the right people. The last 2 to 3 years especially, there's a lot more focus on what we call employer branding, which means that you need to ensure that as much as you spend time branding your products, right, you do sufficient amount of investment in branding your organization. So if you go to a website known as WOBB, there's quite a bit of stories there. You'll see how employers brand themselves, how do they get the employees to speak about the organization. So all that I think is important in order to, attracting the right people, ensuring that they get the right image of the organization, the right values of the organization, and subsequently the organization is ready to maintain that. So that's one of the questions. Hiring recruitment, I mean, there's so many ways to do that, right? Nowadays, you have all the online sites, you have the headhunters, your word of mouth. Some of the more popular things that, people are finding better quality is really getting your employees to refer to hire another employee, because that's more of a trusted channel. So there are many ways you can look at. None of them would, you'd say is 100% foolproof. Everyone keeps doing this randomly and dynamically, so you just need to keep trying which is the best channel, right? How to attract talent, I think I've covered that. You need to spend a lot of time in employer branding, right? So that I think it's important how you put yourself as an employer. Nowadays there are a lot of even competitions where you join to be the best employer. It's good to join this because you get to learn, you get to challenge yourself, you get to pick up new skills, you get to do these sort of things. Next is how you inspire staff to work with the company and stay and perform. A lot of inspiration is actually by virtue of people and communication. See, normally we get inspired by people, lesser inspired by the product of the company, because the people are the one who are eventually marketing and selling the products, right? So we feel that leaders should have a lot of engagement with their internal staff folks, so that they're all engaged, they're always in communication, there are sufficient activities of work and non-work related to keep them together as a happy organization. So there's the need of engagement, I think, is very, very important. And I think you cannot have an organization where A department doesn't know B department. If you see in the last, especially the last 2 years, a number of, you learn from multinationals, right? They even have a work office environment which they call hot desking, which means that anyone can sit any part of the office. Today and tomorrow you can sit another place. It's more like what we call a plug and play situation, right? Which means they encourage a lot of interactions, a lot of cross-department setup. Sometimes you may be even sitting next to the CEO. And I think this is very healthy to avoid any discrimination, to avoid any high-low feeling among the employees. So it's a one class for all kind of thing. So more and more you see sort of things happening. Number of organizations now are flexing their working hours so that people can fit into the flex, so that they can set their personal priorities and work priorities at the same time. A lot of people tend to allow working from home on a pre-agreed basis. Like probably some organization may have 3 times a month you can work from home. You choose what you like, so that time is not wasted on the road, and you can even focus on what's at home. So a number of practices are there. It's a matter of what works for your company and whether you have controls in place or not. Yeah, so these are the few things that I would say is important to do. And to simplify business, right? I think one way to really simplify your HR business is to keep your core within the business, and as much as you can from day one, remove the non-core from your business and get an expert to focus on the non-core, so that the capital that you put in, the investments that you put in, are very much towards running the business frontline. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I think these are my initial questions here, answers.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, now engagement. and people want to have a
Yes.
work-life balance. So organization need to cater for that. We have one question by YM Lim. What is the strategy to what is the strategy to structure the salary scale so every staff know how far they can go and try to achieve the highest level? Well, this is a very good question.
Okay. So this is where the larger organization, they subscribe to what you call a salary survey. If you have a larger team, right, it makes sense that you do a salary, you participate in a salary survey, which is very much targeted by industries. Like you have salary surveys for oil and gas, salary surveys for bank, and in each vertical, right, the salary surveys will have the bandwidth of roles, the bandwidth of grades and things like that. So, example, if you go to Hay will have their things. If you go to Towers Parent, they'll have theirs. So there are about 4 or 5 very large organizations who does this salary survey. It's good to participate that, but of course it becomes a little bit too rigid and overly structured if you're a startup, and again, you may not want to spend so much of money on these things, right? So what I think it's good to do is, you go back to your budgets first, see what's permissible in your budget, then you write the roles which are, say, 5-year, 3-year, and 1-year. You create your 5-3-1-year plan and see what are the roles will be expected out of the business. And once you create the roles, if you like a dummy organization chart, then you put a little bit of variables there. And one way to know what's the salary in the market is really when you advertise for jobs and you have resumes come in, you'll be able to get a yardstick of what you call salaries, right? And so from there you will say that your bandwidth is, for 2 years experience, the salary is example 2,000, for 3 years experience is 2,005. So you need to do a little bit of this, if you like, simulation, right? If you don't want to participate in salary surveys or things like that, just some simulations here and there and work towards that. Again, having said all these things, right, there's always benchmarks in the market, right? What is an average increment? So organizations will not go very far out of the range unless you have other interests in salary, right? By default, the increments are between 3 to 8 or 9% on high performance. So most organizations try to remain within the bandwidth so that you appear competitive. Yeah, I hope I've answered the question.
Let's YM, are you there? I think Manish, you gave a very good question, but let's ask YM. YM? Yes, YM say yes, and
Okay.
thank you for that. Thank you. And then for ProPay, you have a website, right? ProPay.
Yes.
ProPay.
ProPayPartners.com.
Okay. ProPay Partners. We deliver peace of mind. Okay. So currently, what you're trying to say is for startup and SME, those non-core activities they could outsource, right? For example, payroll and HR, quality assurance, statutory and payment services, support services. So you handle this. This is your area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it for SME or these are for large organization?
By virtue of experience, right? I think majority of our clients, I say almost 90% of our clients are multinationals with headcounts of about 300 to 1,000 headcounts. But as we speak to a number of startups, right, we feel that they are no different from our clients that we have. Everyone starts the business with 1, 2, 3 headcounts, right, and then they grow to a few hundred. So I think there's no discrimination, if you like, right? Whether we are looking at SME startups, for us, any client is a good client, right? Whether it's a big brand or otherwise, that doesn't matter. More important, I think, it's especially with organizations who establish in Malaysia, they need to have the right mindset of outsourcing. Very, very important. And this is one of the challenges that we have faced with a number of local brands, right? Where their mindset is, if I pay a 2,000 ringgit, I need to get a service of 8,000 ringgit. which I think it's a little bit of a wrong concept. I think you really need to look at, when you look at outsourcing, right, you need to look at things like what's the risk of maintaining the processes internally, what's your
Yeah.
reward for outsourcing. A number of those things, right, are more important than just the ROI basis, because the ROI sometimes it takes a mid to long term to achieve. It's not short term. We never suggest our clients to outsource their payroll for a year, because you may not achieve any ROI within a year. But 3 to 5 years, you'll see how you can focus on your business thoroughly, especially when you're growing, and then you'll be able to, say that I cannot live without outsourcing. Yeah.
So thank you very much. I think we learned a lot, and then I think like payroll and HR thing is really a lot. A lot to learn. Then why not
Yeah.
they just out? So they can contact you in this form, right? Inquiry form.
Yes, that's right. That's correct.
Talk to us. Okay, and you have offices in Malaysia, in Singapore, and also in Thailand.
Thailand. Because we
Okay.
support these 3 countries in terms of their payroll and HR administrative requirements.
Wow, thank
So
you,
some
thank
of
you.
the things we do, our clients are manage their payroll, but at the same time,
Yeah.
a number of companies do not want to invest into systems, which are very, very expensive things to invest,
Yes.
especially you're a startup. So we even rent our systems if you like, or we call it
Oh,
the
you mean the
leasing method.
e-HR, e-payroll,
Yeah,
you mean all these
exactly.
systems you run?
Yes, all these things can be on a rent basis. You don't need to buy it. It's like buying a car versus renting a car concept.
Okay,
Say if you like to use it, without paying a huge capital, you just pay on a monthly basis.
okay, subscription, yeah.
So that means you don't have capital exposure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, this is good. So, yeah, basically, thank you very much, I think, for your sharing. I think there's no more
Sure.
questions from the audience. And then if there's any question, you could always go to propaypartners.com. And then these are the
Yes.
services. I think what you say is right. I should start out with proper direction to separate what is a core and what is non-core. And for non-core, why not outsource to experts like yourself, right? Yeah. So,
That's correct. I'm happy to take direct questions and all. You can always call us at our office and speak to us.
yeah.
Happy to
Okay.
assist the startups for any guidance for that matter.
Yeah, thanks for helping out startup, although 90% of your clients are big multinational company. Thank you for
Sure,
sharing.
no worries. I mean, we were a startup our own, so we understand where we came from. So we always have this intention to go back where we came from and help the audience as well.
Yeah. So thank you very much. And I think now it's a bit like holiday mode, right? So a lot of people they are leave.
Yes.
So your e-leave system is heavily being keyed in for the previous few days.
Yeah. Actually, even we have 3 offices here, and we have less than 10% workforce around, especially today, because majority of the people are away already.
Yeah. So, and your webinar is wonderful. I will blast out an email to my subscriber on the replay part. You see?
Okay.
Because now a lot they are not in the webinar, and your topic is very interesting. Normally, topic like this will have a lot of interaction, but today, because you see 90% of people are on leave already, so
On leave, yeah, that's correct.
I'll send out and share with people about your expertise with my community.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, and have a nice day, and have a great holiday.
Yes.
Okay,
You too then.
bye-bye. Hey, thanks. Thanks. Bye.